Comic book collectors have been known to scour yard sales and thrift stores for neglected and discarded treasures. But what if you discovered a box in a dumpster that was filled with something way more valuable than money? What if you found a box filled with other people's dreams?
Now we head west to the sunshine of Southern California, home of palm trees, long walks on the beach, and eerily empty carnival rides. It's here we find Jennifer Sharp.
I'm Jennifer Sharp. I do stories for National Public Radio. You know, I can't drive past a garage sale or a flea market without stopping, and I have a sixth sense for where in the junky, crappy thrift store the box in the corner with the photos is. I got a call one day from my friend Mike, who was standing in his alley looking at a dumpster. It was like, this dumpster is just filled with these beautiful black and white 8x10s. And as he kind of described these photos, I almost felt like anxious listening to him talk. And I was like, yeah, just save as many as you can.
Fortunately, he was able to save the majority of them, and when Jennifer returned from her trip, they poured over the photographs.
There was a little stamp in the bottom right-hand corner. Typical Kriegsman photo here. That was his stamp that he put on every photo. You know, of course, we immediately Googled and discovered that this was the stamp of like one of the greatest musician portrait photographers of the 20th century, this guy James J. Kriegsman. Kriegsman was the in-house Cotton Club photographer. He was the first person to really light black musicians well. They're in all these old manila envelopes. These people showed up to Kriegsman's studio and they were just like ready to take their careers to the next step. They're so absurd and they're so beautiful. I mean, you look at these photos and you know that these people never made it. I love this one, and they were called Tickle. You can look at an image and identify with somebody striving for greatness and not attaining it, and maybe feeling a little more compassion towards yourself. That's unbridled professional enthusiasm that I see here in this photo.
But with thousands of photographs, what could she do with them?
So I decided to scan maybe my 180 favorite photos and put them up on Flickr and just see what happens. There's like this weird kind of importance that archival images take on when you introduce them into the web. I think it's even more delightful when you can smell them. Wonderful as they look on the web, there's like it's like old filing cabinets.
As Sharp had hoped, one of the entertainers in the photographs reached out to her.
Guy Zumo was probably the first person to find himself in the collection. He was probably one of my favorite sequences of photographs. Here he is in his plaid sport coat, almost like a gangster. This one captures his actual spirit best. They're very kind of emotionally resonant in a certain way. Well, not that one.
This led Sharp to follow up on the origins of the collection.
There's got to be something I could do with this collection. Maybe NPR would be interested in a story. I did a little research trying to figure out maybe who threw out these photos. I just started to get this sense, okay, this guy Michael Oakes, who lived in Venice across the alley from my friend who called me, and luckily NPR agreed, and that gave me license. I pulled out these photos of Guy Zumo. And yeah, Michael Oakes was really startled that I had basically gone through as trash, you know.
But with that embarrassing confession, she would finally get an answer.
I guess he went to James J. Kriegsman's studio wanting his collection and suspecting that Kriegsman was getting older and might want to unload them. Michael Oakes sold his collection to Getty Images, and so this was like an important heap of photos that he gave them, but these really were kind of the dregs of that collection. I mean, none of these photos are really worth anything because there's no one famous in them.
After talking to Oakes, she now had a good reason to return to Guy Zumo.
I contacted him, can I come over to your house in Marina del Rey and interview you about these photos? And being with him and watching him look at those again was kind of amazing. He had a wonderful day with Kriegsman. That shoot for him was wonderful because Kriegsman saw a certain kind of star quality in him. He hadn't quite ever given up music, and seeing the photos actually inspired him to write music again. Oh, look at this. I mean, this guy's like, he's like roller boogie guy. This is the mother lode. The Kriegsman Files is just like, this is an enormous collection for me. She just looks so sort of confident and ready, you know? I have really mixed feelings about having these photos. You know, I mean, I don't necessarily think it's healthy to go through life hoarding things. I like this guy, Jimmy Dockett. He's not afraid of his femininity. At the same time, these photos would have just gone into the landfill, and I'm so glad that they didn't. I mean, you just have to wonder what her act was. There's something about the simplicity of these photos and a simpler period of time that I find reassuring, I guess.
Without the burdens of space and tradition, these individuals have shown us that any computer can be a gallery, any collector can be a curator, and that inspiration can be found almost anywhere. In a grocery cart, a dumpster in an alley, even your own pocket. Thank you for watching, and we hope you'll join us next time for our continued exploration of the wonderful and bizarre world of collecting. I'm Kevin Guilfoyle, and from all of us here at the Museum of Online Museums, good night.